From Francis Ngannou making the shocking career move by signing with PFL to setting up an epic fight with the Gypsy King right before his debut. Here's how pros react to Francis Ngannou's PFL signing. For starters, it shocked everyone in the industry, because when he made his UFC exit, giving up an $8 million deal and his heavyweight title, fans weren't sure if he made the right decision. Sure, he set out reasonable demands, like healthcare insurance for all fighters, that the UFC never accepted. If you ask me, at one point it seemed like the promotion was slapping him with smackers just to get him to stay. But we all know that didn't work out in their favor because Ngannou went on to become a free agent, looking at other offers on the table for months, just to end up signing a multi-million-dollar deal with the PFL. But one thing that was clear since his UFC exit is that he isn't looking for the highest bid. Nope, he's got terms that he's not willing to negotiate. Even if that means giving up a $20 million deal from one championship just because they didn't give a seat on the board of directors. As for PFL, they brought forward a very calculated deal, because they weren't going to let the former UFC heavyweight champion go that easily. So not only did the promotion offer a guaranteed high seven-figure purse for every single fight and a split of the event's net profits, but they also gave Ngannou a seat on the PFL Global Advisory Board, and he's going to represent active fighters now. Sure, it's a 2 to 3 fight deal max, but the vision takes it a couple of years down the road, since Ngannou's also an equity owner and chairman for PFL Africa. To top it off, the success and money isn't just limited to him, because his opponents are also going to get a minimum salary to fight him, which could easily top 1 million smackers. Honestly, kudos to the fighter for sticking to his guns and making sure he got what he truly believed he was worth. Because PFL isn't signing him as a fighter, more like a partner to help the promotion rise up the ranks and challenge the UFC for the top spot. I mean, you've probably seen enough fighters move to the PFL once they've wrapped up their careers at the UFC with incredible wins and knockouts for the world to remember. And now Ngannou's gonna be one of those fighters. So, even after the UFC president, Dana White, shut down his chances of a comeback, I don't think that matters anymore because Ngannou's gonna stick with the PFL anyway. Although with a bombshell career move like that, I'm pretty sure you know that fighters weren't gonna shy away from talking about his deal. And yep, there were mixed reactions. For one, Israel Adesanya was stoked to find out about the deal. I mean, he always backed Ngannou for trying to improve the contractual agreements. And in a video on his YouTube channel, he claimed that the Cameroonian's ability to stick by his desired terms isn't just going to help him, but the entire sport. In his words, it's good for the game, especially what he's doing with PFL Africa. He's finally got the power and status to make a genuine change around here. But I gotta say, not everyone was that positive about the switch. Especially Jon Jones, who called him out on signing with the UFC rival. And this is definitely the perfect time to mention that fans are desperate for a Jones versus Ngannou fight. And even when the Cameroonian gave up his heavyweight title, Jones stepped into the cage to make his long-awaited heavyweight debut, to tap out Cyril Gane in under 5 minutes and claim the vacant heavyweight title on the line. I guess things worked out for him with Ngannou's UFC exit after all. So yeah, there's definitely some history there. I mean, despite the perks, Jones isn't a big fan of Ngannou's switch, which almost started a Twitter war between the two, but it also ended as quickly as it started. So don't get too excited hoping for a matchup right now. That said, Coach Eric Nixick stepped in after the comments, claiming Jones is going to appreciate the step Ngannou took someday. I mean, the fighter literally quit the company as a reigning champion and even passed the chance to become the highest paid heavyweight in history. All just to make sure other fighters down the line wouldn't have to fight for their rights like this. Clearly, he wants a change. Or, like Daniel Cormier said, he's setting a new standard in MMA. In fact, he claims that only someone with Ngannou's caliber could have made it this far. And I agree, because this definitely isn't a normal situation. Nope. You're looking at a heavyweight champion here, who took advantage of his free agency to raise the bar and make sure these fighters get the pay and benefits they deserve. And this isn't a small change, because now other athletes have the leverage to come up and try to go against the status quo, trying to fight for the rights they deserve after Ngannou laid the foundation. Think about it. He never compromised on his terms. One of the biggest sticking points for Ngannou throughout the entire saga was his freedom to stick to boxing. fighting some of the top heavyweights along with his other non-financial term that'd give him the status and power to make a real change. And with his new PFL deal, he's made sure he's not missing out on any of those terms. And like Cormier mentioned, not everyone will move the needle like that for themselves, like making sure his opponents get a payday that might even equal out to $1 million. Not sure if you know, but there are fighters out there who'd never make that kind of money, but step into the ring with Ngannou for a day and you've got it. Having said that, Cormier wasn't the only one appreciating the Cameroonian on signing the deal. Jake Paul stepped in saying, "Huge fights on the horizon." The co-founder of the PFL pay-per-view division welcomed the former heavyweight champion, claiming it's the biggest news in MMA right now. Although I gotta say, Jake's always been supportive of the Cameroonian fighter, mostly because he's planning to set up a fighters union to fight for the same rights that Ngannou's fighting for, like better fighter pay and healthcare insurance for all fighters. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? And with Ngannou setting a new standard in the sport, it's helped boost Jake's fighters union too, as he works on making it a reality. Who knows? They might even end up joining hands, and that'll give the PFL a competitive edge to overpower the UFC. Because let's face it, even though White is immune to controversy at this point, fighter pay has definitely become one of his triggers, which Jake's taking advantage of every opportunity he gets. And now, Ngannou stepped into the game as well. Even if you keep the long-term changes aside for a minute, everyone's freaking out over the possibility of his opponents earning up to $1 million. Even Big Ben Rothwell took it to Twitter to claim that Ngannou is officially the #1 heavyweight to call out now. And why wouldn't he be? All in all, everyone's excited to see what's next for the former UFC heavyweight champion, especially considering the contract had every single demand he set forward. And if all those perks weren't enough, the PFL is letting Ngannou pursue his longtime dream of professional boxing, which means he's set to fight Tyson Fury sooner than you think. I mean, he's been talking about it ever since he became a free agent. And do you even know how much revenue a fight like this could generate? Back when he was tied to the UFC, the restrictive contracts never let him call out any of the top heavyweights for a boxing match. But after his switch, he's ready to take down Fury in the ring. As for the Gypsy King, the last time he fought was the epic trilogy fight in December 2022, as he wrapped up a knockout win over Derek Chisora. I gotta say, he's been in negotiations with many fighters, especially Alexander Usyk, where the two were set to meet for the undisputed championship showdown. But clearly, that never happened. And at this point, it seems like there's a pattern with the Gypsy King, where he comes in with unpredictable demands and calls off the deal once the other party denies any of them. So I'm not sure if negotiations would work out with Ngannou either. But even if it doesn't, Ngannou's counting on his PFL debut set to happen in 2024, since he'll now be competing in the PFL as part of the Super Fight division, which was launched for high-profile fights. Plus, with all the pay-per-view profits coming in, he's gonna be rolling in enough smackers to keep up. Having said that, it's only a matter of time before you see him back in the ring again. The question is whether or not you'll see him boxing him with a heavyweight champion first. So, from setting up an epic fight with the Gypsy King right before his debut, to Francis Ngannou making the shocking career move by signing with PFL, that was all on how the pros reacted to Francis Ngannou's PFL signing.